Good evening, good evening to you all. I believe that I'm audible to all.
Yeah, you are
Uh,
audible and your slides are visible. Please go ahead.
thank you so much. Okay, the topic of my presentation is, the topic assigned to me is systems biology applications for cardiovascular drug discovery. And I would be essentially talking about network medicine in this short presentation. I'm Vipin Ramakrishnan. I'm a professor of bioengineering at Indian Institute of Technology, Guwahati. I would like to thank organizers, Professor C.C. Karta, Professor Hari Krishnan, and Dr. Jayakumar, Professor Jayakumar, for this investigation. So, sorry, for this invitation, rather. Uh, since my time is not very much, rather limited, I would get on with my slides very quickly. Okay, so let me start with some of the earlier concepts, somewhat called the scientific reductionism in modern medicine. Professor Joseph Lo Celso called it as the long arc of reductionism in modern medicine. Basically, this is actually attributed to the magic bullet theory by Professor Paul Ehrlich, who coined the term chemotherapy. And the basic notion of this concept is for one disease, there is one gene, one protein, and one drug. So advancements in systems biology have resulted in the development of a new area called network pharmacology, and it leading to a paradigm shift from one target, one drug to a target network multi-component therapeutics. So this is a shift from the conventional notion, as I said, the long arc of reductionism in modern medicine. So we will be talking about the network medicine, the basics of network medicine concepts, and then we will move on to a case study. So that is the agenda for this lecture. So let's, almost in all network medicine lectures, you will see this picture. So I'm not no different actually. These two pictures basically, one is of a car or a truck, whatever, and the other is of a Facebook. The human network or interactome is roughly explained on the basis of this analogy. So this is what you can see is different parts of a car, maybe roughly 1,000 of them. And if you want to assemble this car into a functional automobile, you necessarily need an assembly diagram. Similarly, the same thing is the case with a Facebook, where you will see hubs in United States, in Europe, in India, in Australia, and in Asia Pacific countries, which are connected through friends or friends of friends. So there is a connection diagram, and a connection diagram associated with the very existence of Facebook as well. But the car has roughly about 100 components, but a human interactome, or the different genes in a cell, is roughly about 25,000. So naturally, the network of consisting of the entire human, of human interactome is much more complex than what you see in an automobile. So that is the basics of network medicine, and making sense of this interactome in a very constructive fashion is the subject matter of network medicine. So in any such presentation, we will have to see such kind of a figure of a drug discovery pipeline, and the well-said stories of drug molecules being phased out in the later stages of clinical trials. So the reason this is the latest statistics which I could gather. And why do these drugs fail? And the proper reason is kind of, one is activity, and of course, and other is it's about safety. And an alternate approach suggested by various people is to use natural sources and food-like subcomponents as drugs, possibly, if possible, so that it is much less likely to get phased out in the later stages of clinical trials. Okay, so that means that the story which I want to tell today has a history. So this is what I'm going to say is the history of this story. about 3-4 years ago, I had a discussion with Professor Kata, who is a co-organizer of this particular conference. The discussion was about the use of Amalakira Sarana in male Wistar rats, where he has constituted about 3 different groups of rats. One are aorta constricted, then the other one is biologically aged, and third one obviously are controlled. And I'm not going into the details of the experiment. It was a 21 months long experiment. At the end of the experiment, the rats are sacrificed and a treadmill exercise, a tolerance assessment has been made, and did a proteomic study that revealing differentially expressed proteins. The key finding of this this experiment is like the protein expression analysis indicates that the Amalakira or AR has a beneficial effect on myocardial energetics, muscle contractile function, and exercise tolerance capacity in rats. So when you see it chemically, AR is roughly a concoction of 18 metabolites. So I am much more interested in the chemical side of it, and of course, the network science side of it. But you see the 18 metabolites, the list you can see on the right-hand side. So this is the history of the story which I want to talk about today. So the questions that would naturally arise from such an investigation would be how effective is AR, which is essentially a multimolecular concoction of 18 metabolites. This is actually the subject matter of the paper published in Scientific Reports in 2017. Then there can be follow-up questions like what is the reason for its efficacy? Is there any possibility of novel targets and drugs? Possibility of repurposing existing drug molecules? What are the possibility of a multimolecular therapy? Multimolecular therapy, of course. And what is the possibility of identifying synergistic action of multiple components? So for this, we have a case study, and this case study is going to be published next week in Systems Biology and Applications, an accepted paper. And the case study is titled as Mapping Drug-Target Interactions and Synergy in Multimolecular Therapeutics for Pressure Overload Cardiac Hypertrophy. Okay, so let me get on with the question 2. What is the reason for its efficacy? As you can see, what we did is that we got a list of about 18 different metabolites. And we have a very fundamental understanding that a drug molecule which has similar chemistry and similar structure is very likely to have a similar function. So based on that, we screened the metabolites against drug bank and therapeutic target database, of course. And based on Tanimoto coefficient and the substructure similarity search. And we found a series of drug molecules which are structurally and chemically very close to the metabolites. So for these drugs, say D1 to DN, we get corresponding potential targets also from the therapeutic target database or drug bank. So like that, we got about 1004 proteins which are potential targets of the metabolites. This somewhat we call guilt by association method. If you search it in Google, you will understand what guilt by association method is. So we got a list which we call as L3. And we got 2 other lists also from the proteomic analysis of the earlier cell experiment. One is about aorta constricted one, which has about 450 proteins, and biologically aged rats, which is about 1,166 proteins. And the intersection of these 3 matrices, we got about 40 proteins, which we call as L4. Okay, so these are the 40 common proteins which are differentially expressed in all these 3 conditions. All right. Surprisingly, happily, 38 of these 40 proteins are well connected. That is what our network analysis says. And we have to understand that how we have to choose, but that is the basics of network analysis, which I don't want to go into. I do not have much time. So what we have identified based on its correlation coefficient, based on its degree, and based on its non-hub bottleneck proteins identification, based on betweenness centrality and degree, we identified about 3 to 4 non-hub bottleneck proteins, which is actually listed. And now we can identify what is the respective function from therapeutic databases. And this will tell you why, about the first question, what is the reason why AR was effective? Because all these identified proteins or targets have something to do with cardiac hypertrophy, that which you see it in the last column of functions. Next one, what is the possibility of repurposing this existing drug? Pretty good, because these metabolites, we can get similar drugs like what you see in the table. DB03147 is a drug which is very similar in structure and chemistry to guanylate acid. So these drugs can be tested for against the same receptors. So we did it in silico by docking with Autodoc-Vina. And these are our broad suggestions. We have filed 2 patents based on this. And the last thing that has to be investigated is the synergy as a result of the same guilt by association method. Because in most traditional Eastern medicines, what they essentially claim is that these drug molecules are very synergistic in their action because they have component A, B, C, D, E, F, G, like that. And all these components together make the medicinal effect of sorts. I'm not going into the details of it because I don't have time, but you can see the D, figure D, where these are the 9 metabolites identified, and the edges that connects between these nodes will tell you about their respective synergy. For example, guanylate acid has a synergistic association with pyridoxamine phosphate, something like that. So that is about synergy. So these are the key takeaway points from the investigation. Basically, such an investigation, systematic study could not have been possible without contributory supports of various disciplines. And this is a conscious attempt to present a complete analytical platform to investigate the efficacy and synergy using tools of modern medicine. That is the most important part of it. But this study is not complete because a quantitative ratio of repositioned drugs or even AR constituent metabolites would be required for further development of a combinatorial network medicine. This is acknowledgements. I thank my research group, Dr. Aparna Rai and Shreya Bhattacharya, are 2 students working in network medicine. And I thank Department of Biotechnology, BRNS, and the CRBTSD for funding. Thank you for listening. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Vipin, for a good example of system biology application in cardiovascular research. I'm sure there will be some comments or questions. This is Dr. Vinod. He's a computational biologist who is a medical person. Vinod, do you have any comments or questions?
No, it's indeed an interesting thing to look at.
On comment. So, are the drug companies, are they doing this type of analysis to identify the molecules currently, or is it an evolving thing? Hello, Dr. Bipin.
Okay. Sir, I think we have lost him, sir.
Okay.
Once again, he's come back, sir.
Vipin is muted, I think. Vipin, did you hear that question?
You are muted. You can unmute, Dr. Vipin.
Yeah, I could not hear the first part of the question, Professor Harikrishnan.
Are they currently the drug companies, are they doing such type of analysis to identify the molecules, or is it an evolving thing? That is what I was asking.
Of course, yes. Actually, this multimolecular polypharmacology, multimolecular therapeutics is very, what should I say, is one of the hot topics in this area of investigation. You will see, at least in systems biology journals, at least 3 to 4 papers in every issue. So it's been actively researched upon. Yes.
And will the use of animal models and all will come down if you use such type of models to predict the interactions and all?
Professor, it's actually a complementary thing. Network medicine approaches are not something to necessarily avoid doing an in vivo study, because we have to symbiotically, it's a symbiotic association between multiple areas of medical science in order to get a meaningful solution or a new chemical entity or a new lead molecule rather. So it's not a substitute for something else, but of course, if you do computational approaches, you can avoid doing so many, economically non-viable experiments. That is one advantage, basically. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks, sir.
Dr. Vipin,
Yeah, Anup, please.
Dr. Vipin, how do you avoid bias in such kind of analysis? There is already a predetermined ideas coming, right?
Yes.
During your association analysis, how do you avoid bias?
It is a prediction, and you cannot, as far as I'm concerned, my observation is you cannot avoid complete bias in that in such exercises. It is, of course, a prediction. So always it has to be cross-verified by in vitro, in vivo experiments in order to have a very confident, a lead molecule prediction.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Vipin. We'll